Hi students, this is a video to touch on your Writing Project 3 official assignment sheet. So I'm going to spend just a few minutes kind of going over this and what's in here and how this assignment sheet can kind of help you get your paper together. So the overview gives you an idea about what we're doing, the purpose of the assignment. You all have been doing reflection writing throughout the semester in different ways, particularly mostly probably in your journal assignments. So you have been doing reflection writing, but that's a little bit different than doing a reflection essay. And so we're just going to be putting more focus on reflection writing, which one of the benefits of reflection writing is increasing your self-awareness. And really, I think a lot of times when we learn and take classes and do things like this, we don't really think about what we've picked up. Sometimes we feel like we didn't do very well, or that we didn't get anything out of it. But when you really sit down and reflect and look at your progress, hopefully you'll find, you'll figure out that, what, I did a lot in this class and I learned more than I thought I did. So I'm hoping that's it. And if not, maybe you will still learn about yourself as a student and as a communicator, even if you feel like you noticed some things that you didn't do well. Either way, this assignment is not for me to judge that part of your experience. And so this is really for you to write to an audience of yourself, as well as me. You could think of me as your audience, but you are part of your audience in reflection writing. So keep that in mind. And so as you look through this, you have all the basic information, including the writing prompt. So the writing prompt has a key question asking you, how has your understanding of rhetoric, effective communication, evolved, and in what ways has this growth influenced your writing process and critical thinking skills as you engage with these different writing assignments, your personal narrative, your rhetorical analysis, and the current essay you're working on. So you're going to be writing a little bit about your learning as you do the learning, as you do the writing. And you can pull in anything else you got out of the other smaller assignments or the prep assignments leading up to the writing projects. So here's a few key things that your essay should do is explain how your understanding of rhetoric has changed over the course of the semester, reflect on the growth and how that's influenced your writing process, connect your rhetorical learning to those very specific assignments. And you're going to be using first-person voice because this is reflection, so you have to use I, right, not you. And that's going to allow you to pull from those examples that you have of your learning to illustrate your progress. Demonstrate insight and critical thinking about your development as a writer and a communicator. So those are the things that you want to make sure that you do. But the ultimate goal is reflecting, articulating your growth as a writer and thinker through the lens of rhetorical learning. That's really what you're doing, right? You're looking back and saying, what is my growth when it comes to being an effective communicator? That's the point, and that's what you're doing. So we have, like I said in my overview video, we have 2 weeks, but I have put everything inside one folder, just the module. So you won't see the little folders, the smaller folders that are weekly. And so make sure you do look at those due dates that I mentioned and talked about in the overview video. You have several reminders here about proper use of AI in the writing process. Hopefully that's one thing you learned this semester. And to keep in mind that this is a single draft essay submission. So you still have time, however, to manage yourself through the writing process. And that's kind of my hope for this assignment, that you've learned how to do that and you have the tools and you've practiced with the tools. So don't forget about BrainFuse. If you knock out a draft early enough, you can send it off and get feedback quickly from BrainFuse within 24 hours. So don't forget about those things. I'm going to scroll down, so make sure you do scroll down to this part. I always give you guys guiding questions because remember from the very beginning of the course, we talked about engaging questions and how those help us with critical thinking. And so here what I've done is something a little different with the questions. I organized the questions to help you create a structure for your paper. So I'm hoping this will just give you that little extra push into completing a draft and planning a draft. And so what I mean by that is, if you look at the headers here, I have introductory considerations, and then I have sections organized by the writing projects, right? 1, 2, and 3. And then I have a kind of like concluding considerations. So these are questions that you can use to guide your writing, and you can structure your paper in this format. So I think that'll help you if you use this structure. Do you have to answer every question on here? Not necessarily, but choose a few key ones that can give you the direction that you need to get your ideas down. So I'm hoping these questions will help guide you through each part of your paper. And so you are going to be looking at all 3 of your writing assignments, including the one you're currently working on. So that might seem challenging, but I think it'll be interesting for you to do that. It's a very meta process where you're thinking, you're writing about what you're doing while you're writing it. There's a lot to learn from that. So use this guide to help you, and you can make your own questions if you want. And then the evaluation criteria, which will be your rubric that's attached to the assignment that you can also look at there. All right, everyone. Well, I hope this helped give you an idea about what is expected for the Writing Project 3 and what you need to do to get started. But if you have any questions or you need help, you're always welcome to reach out.